Hey guys, tonight we wander into the Nevada desert, where neon signs flicker like half-awake eyelids along endless stretches of highway. You sit in the passenger seat of your own mind, headlights slicing the dark, and the air feels warmer than it should, carrying a hum that doesn't come from the engine. It's late enough that the gas stations are deserted, yet the vending machines still glow like tiny shrines to sugar and caffeine. You catch yourself staring too long at the sand rolling by, as if each dune hides something metallic beneath, and somewhere deep in the back of your thoughts, a whisper tells you that you probably won't survive this, at least not in the boring, ordinary way people expect. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you. I love seeing the map of sleepy wanderers light up across the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You drift deeper into the road trip, desert air slipping in through a cracked window, warm and dry. The sky above is wider than you remembered. A black sheet splattered with stars that somehow feel closer than usual, almost nosy. Each mile marker slides past like a quiet metronome, ticking down toward a place you aren't sure even exists, and yet, you keep going, because that's what everyone does when the word Area 51 is whispered. They lean forward, hungry for secrets. The asphalt beneath you is smooth but lonely. Out here, you realize the desert has its own kind of personality. It mocks you with silence, plays with your headlights, and sometimes sends a jackrabbit darting across the lane just to make your heart lurch. You laugh softly to yourself, realizing that the wildlife is the least alien thing you might encounter tonight. Your phone loses signal 2 towns back, and the radio only picks up static that rises and falls like breathing. It feels theatrical, almost staged, as if someone wanted you to be cut off at this exact stretch of road. You start to wonder, does the desert know when you're coming? Scientists still wonder if places can somehow remember people, holding on to patterns like old scars. Maybe Nevada's sands have been keeping tabs on every wide-eyed visitor chasing UFO stories. The neon signs by the roadside offer one final nod to civilization: alien jerky, et fresh smoothies, even a rusty billboard promising the best abduction tours this side of the galaxy. You roll your eyes, but there's comfort in their silliness. Every legend needs souvenirs. After all, it's almost cute, this human habit of selling t-shirts about beings that, if real, could probably erase us with a sneeze. As the desert deepens, the silence changes texture. Instead of emptiness, it feels layered, like standing in a cathedral with invisible choirs humming from far above. The road hum itself grows hypnotic, and you let your mind drift. What if, you wonder, the reason Area 51 still pulls in UFO watchers isn't proof but promise, the quiet suggestion that something extraordinary might break the sky wide open at any moment? Headlights sweep over a roadside marker riddled with bullet holes. You think about how many other cars have pulled over here, engines cooling while their drivers tilted their heads back to scan the stars. Some probably left disappointed, seeing only satellites. Others swore they glimpsed impossible movements, lights darting faster than planes, making angles no human craft could survive. Maybe the truth doesn't lie behind fences. It's been overhead all along, waiting for someone to notice. You flex your hands on the steering wheel, though you're not sure if you're the one driving anymore. The desert seems to guide itself. tugging you forward like a conveyor belt of shadows. Your eyelids feel heavy, but not from sleep, more like gravity works differently out here. Maybe Einstein wouldn't have had fun with this stretch of Nevada. Equations scribbled on napkins about why your heartbeat syncs with the rhythm of the highway. And then, just before you round a bend, you spot it, a faint shimmer on the horizon, like glass catching moonlight where there shouldn't be any glass. It wavers, stretches, and disappears again before you can blink. Mirage, probably, but in this desert, mirages have reputations. Some folks swear they've seen entire saucers glinting in the distance, only to fade when approached. You can't shake the feeling that you've just been noticed. The car keeps rolling, and you start humming under your breath, not a song you recognize but something slow, meant to keep you steady. The hum matches the road, matches the air, matches the low throb of something unseen just beneath reality's fabric. Maybe it's the desert joining in, or maybe it's something else humming back. You remind yourself to breathe, because whatever lies ahead will demand attention. Neon fades behind you, and the desert swallows the last hints of human touch. Now it's just you, the stars, and the endless question: who really owns the night sky above Nevada? The desert fence doesn't appear all at once. It creeps into your awareness like a shadow that's been there the whole time, waiting for your eyes to adjust. You roll along the road until a glint of silver wire cuts across the horizon, catching the starlight. It doesn't look like much, just a chain-link barrier topped with a few crooked warning signs, but the air around it feels charged, like static before a thunderstorm. You could almost swear the metal hums, a low vibration you feel in your ribs more than hear in your ears. You slow your steps as you approach, though nothing in you knows why. The fence doesn't bark, doesn't bite, doesn't move. Still, you treat it like an animal coiled to spring. Beyond it, the desert stretches toward the shadow of mountains, their outlines sharp against the pale wash of the Milky Way. And right in the center of that darkness, Groom Lake sits invisible, yet undeniable, the legendary dry bed that supposedly hides the hangars, the saucers, and whatever else governments prefer never to mention in daylight. Your shoes crunch softly on gravel, and the sound is too loud in this stillness. You half expect a voice to boom from nowhere, telling you to halt. Nothing happens, just the faint whir of wind twisting across the wire. You lean closer, noticing how the chain links seem to shimmer faintly, though the moon is hiding behind thin clouds. Could be heat waves, could be more. Out here, you're not sure where physics ends and paranoia begins. You brush your fingertips near the wire, never quite touching. The desert gives you one of its cruel jerks, a sudden prickling up your arm, like invisible sparks dancing on your skin. You jerk back with a laugh, more startled than hurt. Maybe it's just your nerves, maybe it's the fence reminding you who's boss. Scientists still wonder if human bodies can pick up on electromagnetic fields without instruments, like built-in detectors we forgot how to use. You feel as though tonight, your detector is wide awake. The signs stapled to the fence are almost comical in their sternness: no trespassing, deadly force authorized, photography prohibited. You wonder who wrote them, and whether the writer chuckled or shivered while hammering them into place. Deadly force, for a place that doesn't officially exist. Area 51 sure loves dramatic punctuation. You imagine some guard scribbling a smiley face under the warning, just to balance the mood, but the signs stay serious, as if humor isn't allowed past this line. A coyote yips in the distance, startling you more than it should. The sound bounces against the fence and stretches into an echo, making it feel closer. Coyotes don't care about secret bases, they care about dinner. Still, you can't shake the feeling that the animal sounded more curious than hungry. Like it too wanted a peek inside. Out here, every living thing seems to share that same instinct. Press closer, peer harder, try to glimpse what humans aren't meant to see. You glance upward, the stars feel sharper now, like someone turned the brightness dial one notch too high. Satellites drift across lazily, their paths too clean, too precise, but then one stops just for a moment. You blink, rub your eyes, and by the time you look again, it's moving as it should. Maybe you imagined it, or maybe the fence is teaching you to question what counts as ordinary. After all, scientists still debate whether UFO sightings are just tricks of perspective, or whether the brain notices more than it can explain. Tonight, your brain is in no hurry to choose. The ground here crunches differently than on the open road. Each step feels amplified. Like you walking across an unseen microphone. You wonder if the fence is listening, collecting every scuff of your sneakers into a file somewhere deep underground. You picture a bored guard sipping stale coffee, nodding to a rhythm of footsteps while checking off a clipboard. Another wanderer. Nothing to see. The image makes you smile, though your shoulders remain tense. And then, just as your breathing steadies, the air shifts, the faint desert wind drops away, and for a second the silence is absolute, like a vacuum sealed around your head. The fence hum grows louder in the stillness, pulsing faintly as though responding to your heartbeat. You lean closer again, eyes narrowed. Somewhere far off, behind the chain links and mountains, a soft glow pulses faintly orange, then white, then gone. Could be headlights on a hidden road, could be something else. The desert doesn't say. You step back, letting the fence reclaim its space. It doesn't want you too close, not yet. Instead, you stand in the quiet, letting the night settle back over your shoulders like a blanket. This place doesn't reveal its secrets all at once, it teases, offering you just enough to keep you from walking away. And as your gaze lingers on the fence line shimmering faintly under the stars, you realize the real mystery isn't what the base hides, but why you can't stop leaning toward it. The gravel under your feet gives way to tire tracks, faint grooves in the sand that led toward a loose gathering of headlights and shadows. You drift closer, drawn not by curiosity alone but by the sound of voices carried thinly on the wind, low murmurs, bursts of laughter. The kind of chatter that belongs to people who know the night is long but worth waiting out. As you crest a shallow rise, the scene unfolds, a ragtag caravan of campers, verse, and battered pickup truck sits parked in a rough semicircle, like a frontier town that decided to sprout overnight. Folding chairs dot the desert floor, some occupied, some waiting for their owners to return. A few telescopes point skyward, their lenses gleaming like eyes too large for their sockets. Lanterns swing lazily in the breeze, painting long, sleepy shadows across the dust. The watchers themselves look ordinary enough: middle-aged couples sipping coffee from thermoses, young friends sprawled on truck hoods, an elderly man fussing with a shortwave radio, yet their ordinary faces shine with expectation, as if each one is braced for something extraordinary to break the night open. You realize they are here not just to watch the sky, but to watch each other watching the sky. It's a community built on hope, caffeine, and just enough conspiracy to keep the night exciting. You ease into their orbit, and no one minds. Out here, newcomers are assumed to be fellow believers. One woman with a blanket draped over her shoulders nods at you as if she's known you for years. She tells her neighbor, without lowering her voice, another one's joined the vigil, and the neighbor simply smiles, passing you a spare chair as if it had been waiting for you all along. You sit, the chair creaking under your weight, and let the group's rhythm wash over you. Conversations weave together like threads of an old quilt. Talk of government cover-ups, theories about reverse-engineered spacecraft, jokes about aliens stopping at truck stops for directions. Someone compares the base secrecy to a locked cookie jar left out on a kitchen counter. If you don't want kids to peek, he chuckles, maybe don't leave it in the middle of the desert. The laughter rolls softly, never too loud, as if everyone respects the desert's hush. It strikes you that this entire gathering feels like a campfire story circle, only the fire has been replaced by starlight and the glow of a few battery-powered lanterns. Instead of marshmallows, people share binoculars, adjusting focus knobs with reverence. The air smells faintly of gasoline and instant noodles. Someone has a small propane stove sputtering, and the steam of rehydrated soup drifts into the night. It's oddly comforting, humans facing the possibility of extraterrestrial contact, yet still pausing to argue over who gets the last packet of soy sauce. You can't help but smile. A young man sets up a tripod with the care of a jeweler. He claims he's caught lights before, and tonight he's determined to get something better than shaky blurs. The others tease him gently, but you notice no one dismisses him outright. Out here, skepticism doesn't stand a chance against shared anticipation. The sky above the group is as wide as a cathedral ceiling, the Milky Way stretched like spilled milk across the black. Stars flicker, satellites drift, and planes blink their way across known paths. Yet every pair of eyes here lingers on the spaces between the gaps where something unexplainable might dart, hover, or reveal itself. You find yourself leaning back, mirroring their posture. It feels strange to be part of a vigil without really signing up for it. And yet, you're caught by the same spell. It's almost a ritual, these watchers huddling together against the desert chill, keeping faith that the universe owes them a glimpse. Someone offers you a marshmallow anyway, as if the campfire tradition won't be denied. You take it, half stale and sugary, and laugh softly. It's proof that even under alien skies, humans find ways to keep their rituals alive. You close your eyes for a moment, just listening. A breeze pushes through the circle, rattling chair legs and rustling blankets. The murmurs rise and fall like a tide, a lullaby of theories, jokes, and yawns. Somewhere in the mix, you catch one phrase that sticks. Scientists still wonder if they watch us back. The voice fades, but the question lingers. You tilt your head toward the sky again, wondering if you're part of a reciprocal caravan. Humans below, something else above, both waiting for the other to blink first. You realize then maybe the real draw of Area 51 isn't proof or even mystery. Maybe it's the companionship of waiting, out here, with strangers who feel like friends. You're not chasing answers alone, you're sharing the night, staring into the same impossible sky. The desert sky is never still. You think of it as a blank canvas, but the longer you watch, the more it moves. Planes, satellites, meteors, all tracing their careful lines across black velvet. Tonight, though, The watchers lean forward for something stranger. Lanterns on the ground dim as conversations hush, eyes tilting skyward together, and there it is, a light, faint at first, drifting too slowly to be a shooting star, too oddly angled to be a plane. You blink, rub your eyes, and it's still there, a soft glow sliding across the horizon. Then hesitating, as though deciding which way to wander next, "See it," whispers someone nearby, as if the light could hear. Heads nod, necks crane, even the guy slurping noodles pauses mid-bite. The glow flickers, then splits into two, like a lantern reflected on rippling water. Both lights move in tandem, sketching lazy patterns no pilot would dare. You feel your heartbeat sync with the rhythm of their dance. The two lights swoop closer together, merge into one, then dart apart again like playful fireflies. The group gasps softly. A chorus of awe and relief, proof that the night is worth staying awake for. Someone mutters, "Could be flares." Another shakes their head, whispering, "Flares don't zigzag." The desert holds its breath with you. The silence between murmurs feels electric, as though the air itself waits to see what happens next. Scientists still wonder if human eyes exaggerate what they can't explain, filling in blanks with imagination. But tonight, your imagination hardly needs to work. The lights are strange enough without help. You lean against your chair, gaze fixed, unable to look away. The glow shifts colors now, pulsing from white to faint green to a blush of orange. Not fast, not chaotic, but almost gentle, like a lantern guided by a patient hand. If it's a trick, it's an oddly considerate one. Someone raises binoculars, breath catching audibly. "It's not a plane," they insist. You don't even ask what they see, you just let the words settle. Round the circle, heads nod. In this caravan, declarations like that are taken as gospel. Proof isn't required, only presence. The lights grow faint, drifting higher, until they fade into a crowded cluster of stars. For a moment, you lose track of which spark is alien and which is ordinary. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the universe prefers to blur the lines, so no one can claim certainty. The group sighs collectively. A release of tension like air escaping a balloon. Some laugh nervously, others jot notes on crumpled paper. A man in a leather jacket claps his hands once, sharp and final. "That's tonight's show," he says, half serious, half joking. You sense no one really believes the performance is over. You tilt your head back again, eyes aching from the strain, but unable to stop scanning. The desert hums beneath you, cicadas chirp from somewhere unseen, and your chair groans when you shift. Yet above all those earthly noises, your memory replays the glow's impossible movements. You wonder if the lights are really machines. Who pilots them? Do they laugh at human watchers with folding chairs and instant noodles? Or do they feel the same curiosity staring back at you? Scientists still wonder if UFOs, whatever they are, represent technology, or something stranger, like living beings of light itself. You let the question hang, unanswered, like one more star overhead. A young woman beside you murmurs, "Even if it was a trick, I'd still watch again." Her voice is sleepy but firm. You nod. That's the charm of Area 51, not the certainty of proof, but the joy of wonder, the ritual of waiting. Even a trick becomes sacred when the night is long enough, and so you sit with them, watching a sky that refuses to be ordinary, knowing the desert has more to show before morning comes. Somewhere down the highway, a neon sign sputters into life. Humming faintly against the desert quiet, the group of watchers slowly disperses, but your journey continues. You follow the glow of green tubing shaped like a cartoon saucer, promising hot coffee, cold sodas, and something called a Martian burger. The closer you get, the stronger the smell of fried food clings to the air, a scent that feels both wildly out of place and oddly comforting. The diner itself is a low, squat building with peeling paint, decorated with murals of smiling aliens holding milkshakes. A cardboard cutout of a bug-eyed extraterrestrial greets you at the door, one hand raised in a stiff wave. Inside, the booths are cracked vinyl, the jukebox wheezes out an Elvis tune, and the overhead lights buzz as though struggling to keep up. Behind the counter, a woman in a neon green apron grins without irony. "Welcome, Star Traveler," she says, sliding you a laminated menu with half its corners chewed by time. The items listed are a carnival of puns: satin rings, onion rings, moondust milkshake, cosmic fries. You decide on the Martian burger mostly because it feels like the sort of decision a tourist in a mystery should make. When it arrives, the burger looks suspiciously normal, except for a bun dyed a faint shade of green. You bite in, and it tastes, well, like a burger, greasy, salty, perfectly unremarkable, which is exactly what makes it charming. The alien branding doesn't need to deliver anything more than familiarity dressed up in costume. You laugh quietly to yourself, realizing that humanity has mastered at least one thing: turning the unknown into a snack. Round you, the diner hums with the same kind of anticipation as the fence and the caravans. Truckers sip coffee, locals play cards, and at the next booth, two teenagers argue over whether aliens would prefer ranch or barbecue sauce. A framed photograph on the wall shows a blurry light in the sky, proudly labeled "Taken Outside, 1997. The caption doesn't bother explaining it doesn't need to. You stir your milkshake absently, listening to the chatter. Some of it is earnest, tales of sightings and strange dreams. Some of it is light-hearted, jokes about abductions doubling as spa vacations. The mixture creates a strange harmony: seriousness and silliness blending into something that feels more real than either alone. Maybe this is what keeps people coming back: not proof, not spectacle, but the comfort of ritual mixed with the thrill of possibility. The jukebox coughs into another song, this one crackling so badly you can't tell if it's static or music. You lean back, sipping cold sweetness through a straw, and let the diner wrap around you like a cocoon. Even here, with fluorescent lights and sticky tables, the desert mystery seeps in. It's in the way the locals glance toward the highway every few minutes, as if expecting headlights or something brighter. It's in the way the cook at the grill pauses mid-flip, staring out the window for just a beat too long before resuming. You wonder, as you lick the last of the milkshake foam from your lip, if aliens, real ones, would find this whole setup amusing. Imagine interstellar beings peeking in, watching humans sell themed onion rings in their honor. Maybe they'd be flattered, or maybe they'd jot it down as yet another strange human ritual, filed alongside line dancing and carving faces into pumpkins. Scientists still wonder if contact, should it ever happen, would begin with confusion, laughter, or just a shared meal. You pay your bill with a few crumpled notes, the cashier thanking you with a wink that feels rehearsed. Stepping back outside, the desert air hits cooler than before, sharp against your skin. The neon saucer hums above you, buzzing like an insect trapped in eternal orbit. You glance up at the real sky, and for a second, the diner's fake glow feels like a poor imitation of something larger, something waiting just beyond the horizon. As you walk back toward the night, the taste of salt and sugar lingers on your tongue, a reminder that even mysteries need fuel. And somewhere, faint and distant, you hear a coyote again, its call curling into the air like punctuation at the end of the diner's chapter. The desert always has jokes, and tonight it plays one with plants. You wander a little farther from the glow of the diner, and the stillness wraps around you again. The land here is dotted with saguaro and barrel cacti, their silhouettes sharp against the moonlight. They look harmless, standing like patient sentinels, but the locals whisper about them with surprising seriousness. One man at the caravan earlier swore the cacti know more than they should. Watch 'em long enough, he said, and you'll see they lean toward the base at night. You laughed it off then, but now, in the quiet, you wonder. You pause beside one tall saguaro, its arms bent in an oddly welcoming pose. From this angle, it does seem to tilt toward the dark horizon where Groom Lake lies hidden. Coincidence, gravity, or is the desert pointing the way with green, thorny fingers? You circle slowly, squinting. The cactus doesn't move, of course, but you can't shake the thought that its shadow has shifted. The moonlight plays tricks, elongating spines into claws, stretching shadows so they look like maps. You almost expect one of the plants to whisper coordinates in a dry, papery voice. Scientists still wonder if plants respond to more than sunlight, magnetic fields, vibrations, even emotions. Maybe out here, in Nevada's most watched desert, the cacti have become antennas, tuning into whatever hums under the sand. You place a hand lightly against the ribbed surface. It's cool, surprisingly firm, almost like stone. For a second, you imagine static crackling against your palm, a faint signal passing from plant to skin. Maybe you've just picked up alien Wi-Fi. You chuckle at the thought, but your hand lingers longer than you expect. As though waiting for confirmation, round you, the night deepens. The cacti crowd the horizon in uneven ranks, an army frozen mid-step. Their shapes mimic gestures. One looks like it's saluting, another like it's raising a toast. You wonder what alien botanists would think of these prickly giants. Would they laugh at humans calling them plants, or would they nod knowingly, recognizing a kind of quiet intelligence? A breeze sighs through, rustling dry brush at the base of the cactus. The sound is faint, but it carries a rhythm, almost like speech. You lean closer, squinting as though that will help, listening for patterns. It's nothing, you tell yourself, wind in your own imagination. Yet the longer you stay, the more convinced you are that the desert has its own conversation, one not meant for human ears. The ground crunches again behind you. You whirl, half expecting another watcher to emerge, but it's only another cactus, casting a tall, crooked shadow. You laugh under your breath. Paranoia, you think, but even paranoia needs company, and tonight the cacti provide plenty. You continue walking, weaving between their tall spines, feeling like you've stepped into a gallery of statues. Some lean subtly in one direction, others bend in crooked ways that almost suggest choreography, a cactus ballet, rehearsed for decades, waiting for an audience that never arrives. Except for you, the stars above remain indifferent, scattered like salt across black velvet. Yet you feel tethered now, not just to the sky, but to the ground, to the cacti, to the desert itself. Every plant here feels like it's part of a quiet design, a pattern you haven't deciphered yet. You wonder if the mystery of Area 51 isn't buried in hangars or aircraft at all, but in the silent witnesses rooted just outside its borders. You pause one last time, turning back to the tallest cactus, its arms reach skyward, spines catching the moonlight like antennae. For a moment, you could swear it's not pointing toward the base anymore, it's pointing at you. The diner's glow fades into memory as you push farther out, following the quiet call of the desert. The stars overhead seem sharper here, the Milky Way spilling across the black like spilled sugar. You let your eyes trace constellations: Orion, Cassiopeia, the Big Dipper, comforting shapes drawn by human imagination across unimaginable distances. But your gaze keeps snagging on something else, a star that doesn't quite behave like a star. It hovers low, closer to the mountains that guard the restricted airspace. At first, you assume it's just a plane. The desert skies are full of them, streaking in and out of test ranges with government tags you'll never see. But this light doesn't move the way planes do. It slides sideways, pauses, then dips sharply as though correcting itself, a dancer practicing steps in slow motion. You squint, waiting for the familiar blink of aviation lights: red, green, white, nothing, just a steady glow that shifts hue when it tilts. Pale silver sliding into faint blue, you feel your chest tighten. This is the kind of sighting that keeps people up at night, replaying angles, convincing themselves it wasn't real. Nearby, a couple of verse are parked along the roadside, silent but glowing faintly from within. You imagine other watchers, binoculars pressed against sleepy eyes, notebooks ready to jot down times and directions. There's a strange comfort in that you're not the only one staring into the desert, hoping to catch the impossible in motion. The light jerks again, then holds still. You realize you're holding your breath. Your mind cycles through explanations: drone, weather balloon, some classified jet practicing maneuvers. Yet your body refuses those answers. Your body insists you're watching something alive. Suddenly, it blinks out, just gone, like a candle snuffed between two fingers. You blink hard, scanning the horizon, but the spot where it hovered is empty. Stars twinkle there, innocent, untroubled. You let out a shaky laugh. Of course, you mutter, that's how it always goes. Sightings never linger long enough for proof. They vanish, leaving you with a mix of exhilaration and doubt, a cosmic prank played by forces unknown. Still, you can't help but wonder. Scientists still argue about the persistence of UFO culture around this region. After all, radar blips can be misread, pilots can be mistaken, atmospheric phenomena can trick the eye. But why then do so many people describe the same strange movements: zigzags, impossible accelerations, hovering without sound? Could 100,000 people all share the same delusion? Or does the desert simply coax the mind into patterns that don't exist? You shift your weight, glancing back at the cacti. Their spiny silhouettes feel like they're leaning closer, as if they too were watching the sky a moment ago. You imagine them gossiping silently through their roots. Did you see it? We saw it. Don't tell the human. You chuckle at the absurdity, but the sound quickly dies in the wide, empty air. The desert doesn't mind your jokes. It has heard stranger. A few minutes pass, and the night grows thicker. You scan the horizon again, eyes adjusting, hoping for the return of that uncanny light. Nothing. just the wind curling low across the sand, whispering secrets you'll never fully catch, and yet your senses buzz. The silence now feels charged, like a stage waiting for the next act. You half expect the stars themselves to rearrange, spelling out a message only visible from this lonely patch of Nevada soil. For now, though, the sky offers no encore, only the memory of a light that danced without a name, and your own lingering question: was it real, or just a trick of the desert night? The desert settles again, but your mind refuses to. That single blink of vanishing light has opened a door, and now every sound, every glimmer, feels like part of the same mystery. You find yourself wandering toward a quieter spot, away from the gravel shoulder where cars idle. The sand crunches beneath your shoes, and the wind carries only your breath and the low hum of distant generators. You picture yourself as part of a long line of seekers, stretching back decades: tourists, true believers, skeptical scientists, each hoping to catch a glimpse, each building a private library of rumors. And so, tonight, you drift into that archive too, not a physical place, but the soft stacks of stories carried on desert air. The first shelf, the classic Roswell debris, tin foil, sticks, and tape, elevated into an alien spacecraft by the magic of suggestion. Scientists laugh at the photos, but they don't laugh as easily at the testimonies. Why, after all, would ranchers and military men hold on to their stories for life if there was nothing more to them? The second shelf, the pilots, men and women trained to read instruments, not fairy tales, suddenly admitting they've seen objects performing impossible maneuvers. Some describe shapes like tic-tacs, others glowing orbs. You imagine their voices, calm yet hesitant, knowing their credibility could be on the line. Would you risk a career just to tell a bedtime lie? And deeper still, the abduction files. You don't want to linger here, but the archive insists. Stories of lights flooding bedrooms, of strange beings with eyes too wide, of missing hours later pieced together under hypnosis. Many dismiss these as dreams or sleep paralysis, but then, why do so many of them describe the same gray figures, the same cold rooms, the same humming instruments? You feel a shiver, though the night is still warm. It's not fear, exactly, more like standing in a library where the books are alive, whispering from their spines, insisting you check them out for the night. Somewhere nearby, laughter drifts from a campfire. Fellow watchers swap tales with the same rhythm. People might share ghost stories. I swear my uncle saw craft over Rachel in '82. My dad said the base lights move like they're chasing something invisible. You listen, half smiling, because you know how the human mind works. We crave patterns, we connect dots until they make pictures, even when the sky provides nothing but randomness. And yet, what if some of those dots really are connected? You remember flipping through late-night documentaries as a kid. Grainy footage of saucers, scientists pointing at blurred radar screens, dramatic music implying revelation was just one interview away. Even then, it was soothing, almost comforting, this idea that the universe might be reaching out. The desert wind rattles against the fence in the distance, and the sound makes you pause. For a moment, it's as if the archive has shifted from imagination into reality. Each metallic rattle feels like a page turning, dragging up another story, another rumor. Scientists still wonder, is it possible that all of this, the testimonies, the photos, the classified files, could stem from one kernel of truth, one real event, long buried, now branching into endless retellings? Or is the phenomenon itself the story the human need to believe, amplified by the silence of the desert sky? You glance upward again. The stars haven't moved, but they seem brighter now, like they're eavesdropping on your thoughts. You half expect one to wink, just a quick flicker, like punctuation on the end of your question. Instead, the desert keeps its counsel. You're left with only whispers. Dusty rumors stacked higher and higher, filling an invisible library that has no end. And tonight, whether you believe them or not, you can't help but take a book from the shelf. The library of rumors lingers in your mind as you keep walking, but soon the weight of stories gives way to something strange, a sound. Out here, where civilization has pulled back its noisy machines, every noise is amplified, stretched, and reshaped. Your boots scuff across the desert floor, and the crunch feels too loud, almost theatrical. Each step echoes in your ears as though someone else is walking just behind you, carefully matching your rhythm. You pause, the echo pauses, you step again, the echo returns, but now it's off by a heartbeat. A tiny lag that sends a chill down your spine. The desert plays tricks like this. Sound doesn't behave politely out here, with no buildings or trees to absorb it. Every crunch, every shuffle, bounces across the dry basin and back again. Some scientists say the acoustics of the Nevada desert can make even a whisper travel half a mile. Others claim that certain rock formations reflect vibrations in ways that make them sound alive. You test it. You clear your throat, and the sound stretches, doubling back with a hollow resonance, as if an unseen throat answered. You laugh quietly at yourself. It's ridiculous, but the laugh also comes back, thinner, like a ghost version of your own humor. In the distance, a metallic clank rings out, a fence shifting in the wind, a loose gate rattling. You strain to listen, but it's gone, absorbed by silence, and the silence itself feels heavy, like it's pressing against your skin, waiting. It makes you wonder, what have others heard out here, in nights just like this? Some claim they've heard low hums, as if engines deep underground are powering something enormous. Others talk about voices in the wind, words not in English, not in any language known, but shaped enough to sound intentional. Could sound itself be a kind of camouflage? If advanced aircraft exist, maybe they're designed to manipulate acoustics, to throw your ears off just enough that you doubt yourself. Or maybe the desert, vast and indifferent, simply likes to keep you guessing. You shift your feet again, and the echo comes late, almost mischievous. You can't help but picture the desert as a playful trickster, copying your noises just to see if you'll spook. And yes, you are a little spooked, but also amused, like being teased by a friend who never fully shows their face. The air grows cooler as the night deepens, and you draw in a long breath. Even that feels strange. Your inhalation makes a faint whistle, carried farther than it should be, curling back as though someone else is breathing in sync with you. A cosmic duet. Scientists still wonder whether environments like this, open, barren, hypersensitive, might encourage hallucinations, or at least exaggerate the normal quirks of human perception. Maybe UFO watchers aren't imagining objects at all. Maybe they're simply attuned too closely to the oddities of sound and space. When every crunch, every echo feels uncanny, why wouldn't the stars themselves begin to seem suspicious? You glance behind you, just in case. The ground is empty. The path you've made in the sand trails back toward the faint glow of the highway. Yet part of you still feels followed, not by guards, Not by aliens, but by your own sound chasing you like a shadow. The desert keeps whispering, crunch for crunch, step for step. You smile softly. If this is what it's like to be haunted by acoustics, it's not so bad. At least the ghost is polite enough to keep pace. The echoes fade as you crest a small ridge, and suddenly the world feels different. The ground levels out into a wide, flat stretch of desert, an open canvas under the stars. For a moment, the sky feels too large, as if it might tip forward and swallow you whole. And in that vastness, your imagination does what it always does, it fills in the blanks. You picture the hangars you've only ever seen in grainy satellite images, rectangular, secretive, their roofs glowing faintly under moonlight. You imagine stepping inside one. The air cool and metallic, your footsteps muffled by layers of insulation designed to keep secrets. And there, at the center, sits the thing every watcher hopes to glimpse, a silver disc, perfectly smooth, dusted with moonlight like it rolled straight off a cosmic assembly line. Of course, it's only an image in your mind, but the image lingers, vivid, as though the desert itself has projected it onto the canvas of your thoughts. You can almost hear the faint hum, not mechanical but alive, like a cat's purr scaled up for interstellar travel. Stories swirl about what actually rests in those hangars. Some say crashed saucers from Roswell, pieced together over decades by engineers who scratch their heads and shrug. Others claim experimental craft built by human hands, triangles, orbs, sharp-edged wings that only look alien because they're 20 years ahead of their time. And then there are the fringe whispers, ships that respond to thought alone, piloted not by hands but by intention, machines that blur the line between vehicle and organism, refusing to start unless they're like you. You can't help but wonder, what if you walked into that hangar tonight? Would the craft remain still and cold, or would it lift its nose, like a dog recognizing a stranger it might trust? The desert wind stirs again, carrying a fine dust that sparkles faintly under starlight. For a second, the ground itself looks like a runway, ready for something to take off. You tilt your head back and picture the sky filling with movement, silver arcs, glowing spheres, vessels slipping quietly between constellations. It's an oddly soothing vision, not frightening but graceful, like watching a flock of birds change direction mid-air. Scientists still wonder if dreams of spacecraft are just that, dreams, or if they are a kind of cultural memory. Humanity has stared at the heavens long enough that maybe our minds have collectively invented a shape for the unknown. The disk, the triangle, the glowing orb, our bedtime story for the galaxy. But what if the galaxy has been feeding us these images all along, nudging our imaginations with subtle hints? You crouch down, running a hand through the cool sand, grounding yourself. The hangars may be off limits, guarded and silent, but here in the open desert, you can build your own archive of ships. No one can confiscate the spacecraft in your imagination, and honestly, they are probably more beautiful than the real thing. A soft laugh escapes your lips. You think about telling friends back home, "Yeah, I saw a saucer last night," parked it in my head. Took it for a spin. They'd roll their eyes, but secretly, they'd want to see it too. The desert, as always, offers no confirmation, just stars, silence, and that persistent question that keeps you awake far longer than you planned. What if the hangars really are full? And what if, one day, one of those doors slides open? You rub your eyes, blinking away sand and fatigue, when someone nearby hands you a pair of night vision binoculars. They're scratched, military surplus maybe, smelling faintly of old leather. You bring them to your face, and suddenly the desert changes. What was once black and star-pierced becomes washed in a pale green glow. The cacti glow ghostly, their spines sharp outlines against the sand. Rocks you hadn't noticed before loom like crouched figures, and above, the sky doesn't just twinkle, it shimmers. Through the green haze, the stars appear restless. You realize how much the naked eye misses. Pinpricks of light dart faintly, zigging where no airplane should zag. You catch one streaking sideways, only to fade before you can confirm it wasn't just your own shaky grip. Careful, the watcher beside you murmurs, their voice barely audible. You'll start seeing things that aren't there. But isn't that the point? Night vision turns up the brightness, yes, but it also exaggerates. Dust motes become meteors, and faint planes morph into unexplainable darts. You lower the binoculars for a moment, glance at the ordinary stars, then lift them again, and the sky rearranges itself like a puzzle that refuses a solution. One star in particular catches your attention. It pulses faintly, like it's breathing, in, out, a steady rhythm that doesn't match anything else in the heavens. Your throat goes dry. Could it be a satellite tumbling, catching light at intervals, or something altogether stranger, an object signaling? Patient, waiting for someone to notice, you remember the old sci-fi trope: intelligent life might not send radio messages or dramatic landings. It might simply blink, over and over, across decades, hoping some night vision goggled human would stop long enough to see the code. And here you are, staring into the green glow, wondering if the message was meant for you. The watcher chuckles. Scientists still wonder if our eyes even know what they're seeing out here. Sometimes it's just wishful thinking, but wishful thinking has kept you awake tonight. Hasn't it? You lean into it, scanning again, letting the movement lull you. You imagine fleets of invisible ships sliding just beyond visible light, only betrayed by these faint rearrangements your naked eye could never detect. Eventually, you lower the binoculars, blinking hard as the world snaps back to normal. The desert looks duller now, like someone dimmed the magic. But the pulsing star, you can't quite find it again. Did it vanish, or was it never there? Either way, the sky above Area 51 has given you another riddle. And riddles, you think, are sometimes more comforting than answers. The binoculars leave green shadows in your vision long after you've handed them back. You rub your eyes and let them adjust, blinking against the natural starlight. Round you, the desert gathering has shifted. Some people crawl back into sleeping bags, others sip coffee from dented thermoses, and a few diehards lean against car hoods, their eyes glued to the horizon like gamblers unwilling to leave the table. You wander toward a small circle of folding chairs. A lantern glows weakly in the middle, throwing just enough light to reveal faces both weary and eager. Someone gestures to an empty chair, and you slide into it, welcomed without words. This isn't a club with membership cards, it's more like a support group for people who can't resist staring at the sky. A man with a weary beard and a NASA cap leans forward. "I've been coming out here since '94, he says. "I've seen things I'll never explain, and I've seen plenty that were just planes. But you know what? The mystery's the point." A woman in a denim jacket nods. "Last summer, I swore I saw a craft skim low over the ridge. Turns out it was a drone demo in Vegas. Didn't ruin it for me, though. For a moment, I believed, and that belief it's like a bedtime story for adults. You smile at that. Bedtime stories around a desert campfire at 3 a.m. It fits. The group laughs quietly, trading tales like children whispering ghost stories under a blanket fort. A retired truck driver describes a light that followed him for 30 miles. A college student insists their grandfather works security detail and hinted at underground tunnels. Every story overlaps, contradicts, blends, until the line between fact and fable disappears entirely, and in that blur, you feel a strange calm. These people aren't chasing proof, they're chasing connection to mystery, to one another, to the idea that the universe still holds surprises. In a world where phones can answer almost any question, it's oddly soothing to sit around and embrace the questions that don't have answers. Someone offers you a mug of coffee, bitter and lukewarm, but it tastes like belonging. You sip slowly, listening to the rhythm of voices. Scientists still wonder if communities like this exist less to solve mysteries and more to keep them alive, because once a mystery is solved, it stops being fun. Maybe it's not about the truth of Area 51 at all. Maybe it's about preserving the gentle hum of not knowing. You lean back, staring at the stars while the group chatters. For once, you don't feel the need to spot anything yourself. You let their voices blend into a lullaby of half-truths and hopeful exaggerations, the kind of sound that makes sleep feel close, even if you don't close your eyes. And just for a moment, you think perhaps the real UFOs are these wandering humans, glowing faintly under lantern light, hovering together in the desert night, fueled by stories and coffee. The coffee warms you, though it does little to chase away the creeping fatigue of the hour. The group's stories taper off into yawns and murmured goodnights. You step away from the lantern glow, back toward the silence of the open desert. It feels like the sky has shifted again, heavier now, full of anticipation. Then it comes, a sudden crack, sharp as breaking stone, rolls through the night. Before you can even flinch, a low rumble follows, stretching across the desert like a drumbeat. The campers stir, eyes turning upward. High above, a streak slices through the sky. Too fast, too smooth to be anything ordinary. For a split second it glows white hot, then vanishes, leaving behind nothing but the echo of its passage. A sonic boom trails after, rattling the ground beneath your shoes. Everyone holds their breath. The official story, of course, is that Area 51 tests advanced aircraft, sleek prototypes, experimental engines, technologies decades ahead of what the public sees. And maybe that's all it was, a test flight, a human-made miracle of engineering. Yet part of you can't shake the feeling that what you saw just now didn't quite obey the rules. The angles were too sharp, the speed was too instant, the silence before the boom felt unnatural, like reality itself had been muted for a heartbeat. You imagine the hangars again, doors sliding open in the desert night, crews working in shadows to launch craft that can bend sound itself. Maybe that's what you witnessed, an aircraft designed not just to fly, but to slip sideways through the air like a fish darting through water. But then, the other thought creeps in. What if that wasn't ours at all? What if humans are merely the custodians of something borrowed? Something reverse engineered. You picture engineers hunched over alien schematics, scratching their heads, building test after test until, finally, something works well enough to send roaring across the desert sky. scientists still wonder about reports of unidentified fast-walkers, objects so quick they outpaced radar, defying known propulsion systems. Could the boom you felt just now be one of them, or was it simply a clever trick of classified technology, wrapped in secrecy so thick it feels otherworldly? The campers buzz with half whispers. Did you see that angle? That was no mine. I-16. Faster than a meteor, their voices rise and fall, excitement tempered by uncertainty, and you caught in the middle feel strangely at peace, because whether it was alien or human, you got what you came for, that moment of wonder, fleeting but undeniable. The desert quiets again, as if the sky has closed its curtain after a brief performance, and in the lingering hum of adrenaline, you realize something comforting. Even if you never know what flew overhead tonight, you'll always remember the sound it left behind, a sound like the future cracking open for just a second, before sliding shut again. The boom fades, leaving behind an orb ringing in your ears. For a while, no one speaks. The desert seems to hold its breath with you, as if savoring the aftertaste of whatever just streaked across the sky. Then, slowly, conversation ebbs back into the camp, excited voices rising and falling like waves, each person certain they've seen something historic. But the night is thinning. A pale shimmer spreads across the horizon, a faint suggestion of dawn brushing the edges of the black. You feel the air shift, cooler at first, then warming with the promise of sunrise. One by one, the watchers begin to stir from their vigil. Folding chairs creak, car doors slam softly, and tents collapse into neat rolls. You linger, reluctant to break the spell. There's something sacred about this hour, when mystery and daylight overlap for just a few breaths. Shadows stretch long across the sand, and the fence line in the distance glows faintly, no longer menacing but merely mundane. Even the guards' silent patrols look less ominous in the softening light, just trucks on their rounds, not sentinels of secrets. You sip the last of your coffee, lukewarm now, and watch as a family packs up their camper. The father folds a lawn chair with exaggerated care, as though reluctant to admit the night is over. The kids yawn wide, stumbling toward the van with blankets wrapped around their shoulders like capes. For them, perhaps, this was just another adventure, a desert sleepover with stories they'll exaggerate at school. But for you, the desert feels changed. The questions remain, yes, but they seem gentler in the morning light. The streak in the sky, the echoing footsteps, the pulsing star, all of it slides into the same category as dreams, impossible to prove, impossible to dismiss. Scientists still wonder if there's something about dawn itself that quiets the human need to explain. Maybe mysteries belong to the night, and once the sun returns, they fold themselves away until darkness calls again. The first true rays break over the mountains, painting the sand gold. You feel your shoulders loosen, tension draining, as though the desert itself exhales with you. The sky is blue now, not black, and whatever secrets were out there a few hours ago have tucked themselves back into hiding. You glance over your shoulder one last time. The campers are nearly gone, dust rising in their wake, but as the sunlight pours across the basin, you catch a glimpse of something, just a faint gleam near the fence, like a reflection on metal where no metal should be. Then it's gone, swallowed by the glare of morning. You smile. Maybe it was nothing, maybe it was everything. Either way, you know this desert will keep its hold on you. The sun climbs higher, its light spilling across the Nevada desert like liquid fire. The shadows vanish, and with them the thin thread of night's magic. Yet even as daylight restores the ordinary, the dust, the fences, the hum of a distant highway, you can't shake the sense that something lingers just beyond sight. You walk a little farther, past where the campers parked, kicking at the sand. The desert is quiet now, birds just beginning their morning chatter. Your footprints stretch behind you, one after another, a breadcrumb trail back to normal life, but your eyes keep drifting to the mountains in the distance. Jagged teeth of stone guarding something you can't quite name. For decades, people have stood right where you stand, craning their necks toward those ridges. Some swear they saw lights darting faster than jets. Some claim men in black warned them to forget. And others insist the real treasure isn't alien at all but advanced human tech tested in secrecy. You realize you're part of that long chain now, another watcher, another dreamer feeding the story. There's comfort in that. You're not alone, not really. The watchers before you asked the same open-ended questions you're asking now. If those streaks in the sky weren't meteors, then what were they? If the desert whispers are only the wind, why do they sound like marching feet? If the government is only hiding airplanes, why the decades of denial and sudden bursts of panic whenever someone gets too close? Scientists still wonder if Area 51 is less a place and more a mirror reflecting the hopes and fears we bring with us into the desert night. A soft breeze pushes against your back, nudging you gently toward the road. The day is awake, and life waits for you beyond this stretch of sand. Still, you linger a little longer, closing your eyes to capture the feeling, the hush of darkness, the sudden blaze of light, the way your pulse quickened at the thought of not being alone in the universe. Maybe that's the real mystery, not the secrets locked behind barbed wire, but the way your imagination refuses to rest. The desert gave you no answers, but it gave you questions worth carrying home, and in the end, maybe that's all you needed. The hum of a passing truck snaps you back. You open your eyes, smile to yourself, and turn toward the rising sun. One last look over your shoulder, a silent goodbye to the watchful mountains, and then you head back carrying the night's whispers with you like a secret only you can hear. And now, as the last echoes of desert footsteps fade, you can let the story settle into silence. The sharp edges of curiosity smooth themselves into something softer, like sand carried by a slow breeze across the dunes. You no longer need to chase the lights in the sky, or peer through fences at the mountains beyond. Instead, you can rest with the thought that mysteries are allowed to remain mysteries, that sometimes not knowing is its own kind of peace. Your breath slows, the rhythm steady, like the steady hum of a ceiling fan overhead. Each inhale fills you with quiet, each exhale releases the last scraps of tension clinging to your shoulders. The desert is far away now, dissolving into the background of your thoughts, until only the gentle warmth of calm remains. Picture yourself lying back beneath a wide sky that slowly darkens into velvet. Stars appear one by one, patient and unhurried. They don't demand answers. They don't ask for theories. They simply shine, reminding you that the universe is vast and timeless, and that you are safe within its gentle embrace. Your eyelids grow heavier, thoughts drifting like clouds that don't need to form into anything. Each question about secrets and sightings fades into a soft blur, replaced by the certainty that rest is the only destination that matters now. So allow yourself to sink deeper, as though gravity is tucking you in. The bed beneath you becomes a desert floor of comfort. The pillow warm patch of earth, you are watched over not by hidden eyes or secret machines, but by the simple kindness of sleep itself. Breathe out, slowly, let go, and slip into dreams, carried gently across the quiet night. End of script. Sweet dreams.